Hello, everybody. I get on Facebook or and such, and not necessarily doom scroll, but I get on there and look. And my algorithms kind of feed me to, some political stuff. It's easy to scroll past a lot of that, or I just kind of troll people, maybe lightly. And I see pet videos. There's one lady that has a parrot that she lets fly around, and it's a green parrot with a yellow tuft on its face, and I cannot think of the type of it at the moment. It escaped me, but it's basically a free-range parrot, and it like attacks her husband. So I like to watch that, or maybe it's a boyfriend, brother. I don't know who it is. Yeah, and cockatoo videos, you got to be careful of those. They're AI, a lot of those nowadays, unfortunately. I guess I understand that people want to just make a living, but there's a term recently for what they call it, clinker or something of that nature. Basically, people having enough of AI. The punchline though is I get on Facebook and post furniture, and a lot of people have taken me off of their list. And I've done the same, because I think that politics these days is more than just an issue. I think it speaks to the moral character of people anymore. There's certain things that aren't up for debate, and some people feel like those are debatable things, and I'll just have to agree to disagree, and I'm not going to seek their input. But people post stuff after an event, God is great, and it's always something super corny, and they get 58 million thumbs up, because it's typically the people I know are a lot of Southerners, and the Bible Belt is called such for a reason, but it always seemed insulting in a way, because there's a lot of things that happen that are not great, and nobody screams God is great. Lord forbid, just use the expression, but Lord forbid, if somebody gets sick, or a child gets sick, or somebody loses their life too early for any number of reasons, and I don't have to say anything else. And nobody says God is great after that. But to me, it seems insincere, if not insulting, because there's a lot of people out there suffering, and I don't know. I'm really torn about it. And of course, people have a dogma, and if there's no rational explanation for something, and they have a firmly entrenched dogma, they're going to start making up stuff. And the things that are made up we're not meant to understand, and all the things I heard as a kid, growing up, believing a certain religion, but certainly not religious now. It wasn't beaten to my brain, but certainly it was never seen as a negative thing to question. A positive thing to question. So, it's like you should be questioning a lot of these things that don't make sense. And to deny a child that is foolish. But you hear about stories that kids ask, why did blah, blah, blah? And we're not meant to ask that. You don't question God. And my two boys went to the local Methodist place. It's pretty benign. I'm not firmly of the belief that the preacher is actually religious. Like, some of the things he says, I think, man, if you're not agnostic or a non-believer, about 15 minutes in a discussion with a solid non-believer would probably set him over the edge. I probably could talk to him, and based on things he said in front of everybody, I kind of think he'd be like, yeah, you're probably right. You might be right. Yeah, you may be right. I was only at the church a few times because I'm not religious, but it was to see my kids played music at the church or something of that nature. My kids aren't religious. They're very questioning of things. They were exposed to a pretty benign form of Christianity. You don't hear a whole lot of the regretful things that people say inside of that church. It's pretty chill. I won't go there because I just won't, not for my own accord. I went for the kids to see them play. I've posted on YouTube, and I'm certainly proud of them being able to go up there in front of everybody. But oddly, when you're there, of course, people assume that you believe what they believe. Well, that would make sense. You're in a church, for goodness sakes. But, my children don't believe those things. And they were never told to not question things. And Harmon, when he was a little kid, Garrett, when he was a little kid, would ask questions like, well, if God's so good, why did he make alligators? Alligators are bad. It may not have been alligators. It may have been something, but, the modern day equivalent would be guinea worm or, malaria or typhoid fever or something. Yeah, and Garrett, I'm not so sure that's the right question, buddy. Or I'd say ask your mom. Let her deal with that question. But my thought is we as human beings assign value. And the values that are more positive tend to be the ones that cause societies to move forward. And it's almost like it's entrenched in our brain. So societal norms become societal norms based on the evolution of society, small tribes. It's the same reason why we like sugar, to eat sugar. It's an ancient thing that sugar was good. It's a high-calorie source. Sugar was with fruits. Fruits are nutritious. Sugar was with honey. Same thing with fats, If you eat animal protein and fat, the more the better, the more calories. When your life is built on substance, then sugars and fats are good, healthy, because you're going to work all day, burn off those calories. Nowadays, we still like sugars and fats, but we don't have to work like ancient tribal people. So, the same sort of thing can be said for societal norms. You don't have to call it morality, say societal norms. That's a whole different subject, and honestly one that I think about, and I don't stick on it too long. Things like consciousness, morality. I know there's certain things that make me feel good and certain things that seem unpleasant. And across societies, I would say that a lot of people feel the same way. But in any event, the entire statement, God is good, I think, that's off-putting, man. Something bad happens and half the people get hurt and the other half don't. And half the people are like, why me? Why me? And the other half are like, God is great. I'm like, it's the same tragic scene. And we're quick to, say a certain thing, but not so much say the other. And God is good. Does that apply when something's really, really in a bad way? I just think about that. And this puzzle's kind of, it's a turtle in any event. Y'all have a good day.